join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, review and approve the agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Review and approve the special select board minutes from April 20th.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Review and approve the April 24th regular select board meeting minutes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion approved. And then finally, review and approve the May 4th special select board meeting minutes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Approved. Open public comment.
Yeah.
Deb, you came first.
Oh, can I sit here? I don't have to look at him, right?
What, if you want, it's up to you. It's a
Yeah.
free country.
Two things. One thing is when we had that meeting for the chickens and all of that, I really believe, and the man that was standing right here, I think that he understood that too, and the people that were with me, that it wasn't clear. And some people that really didn't want chickens in their yard were voting a certain way, and other people that didn't want chickens in their yard were voting a different way. And I really think that needs to be revisited. It was not clear. I mean, maybe it was clear for you guys, but I don't think it was clear for the majority of the people that were there, including probably these people that are my neighbors. The other reason I'm here is because today I had 3 visitors, chickens, and I just spent $80-some for perennials, and I really don't want the chickens in my yard. They came from garden and they go across the yards and end up at my house because I guess I've got good food or something, I don't know. Then they visit Leona's house where she has bird food out for the squirrels and whoever wants to eat it. But I went and talked to Dwayne Hall, and he gave me a dozen eggs. And we have a good relationship, so he said his fence is coming. But I still feel really strongly that you all should revisit that meeting again and make it clearer to the people so that they know, are we supposed to invite the chickens in, or, you know, is it against the rules to have them ruin your property?
So just so you know, we're looking for the first time tonight at giving some feedback from that, how to make a ordinance that everyone can agree upon. So that is on the agenda for tonight. It's the first time we're looking at it, so there's no action that's going to be taken tonight. But did I cover it?
Yeah.
No, just wanted to make sure.
So can I speak?
Sure.
The thing is, I thought about it, you know, I had 2 dogs at my house. We kept them in all the time we weren't home. But when we let them out, they'd bark, okay? And the guy that was the animal control person came to the house because the neighbors complained, and once a neighbor complains about a barking dog, they claim that it's a nuisance. So he didn't want to bark, and he wanted me to put a muzzle on him. He went as far as to give me fines that I had to pay. So if they do this with dogs being a nuisance, how come they don't do it with chickens or whatever coming into somebody's yard? Why isn't that a nuisance?
So I think that's part of what we're trying to figure out, and that's what we're trying to do with this new item on the agenda, is to have an ordinance that everybody can understand and that they can follow. So, I guess we're working on it is the best way that I can put it.
Yeah.
But it, it'll take a little bit.
Once it happened today, and I found out about the meeting, I thought, I'd tell you what's going on over there.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just add one more thing, please, thank you. The people on my street, somehow, they weren't here for that meeting, but somehow I guess they heard about that meeting, and they're really upset about where it said you can have a certain amount of dogs and things, and they were upset. They have a lot of things that was really upsetting the people on Newton Street, as far as dogs and how many cats you can have and all of that. They think that's going against their freedom, I guess. I might want to be aware because I'm sure they'll be at the next meeting.
That part of the ordinance didn't change. That's been that way for.
That's been the zoning for
See, I don't think
years.
people know. I mean, when I moved in 6 years ago, I didn't, nobody handed me a copy of an ordinance or a zoning thing or anything.
No, that's up to you to come and ask for it.
Yeah, but see, if you're not used to that,
Why wouldn't you be used to it?
that's not how it happened in Florida.
You
It's-
can have,
It's
my
different.
parents lived in Florida.
Well, I don't live in the expensive area, I live in Winter Haven. But I would never thought of looking at an ordinance, honestly. But I will now.
Any other open public comment? Lisa?
In the minutes from the special meeting with G&P versus the town of Proctor, I'm curious, is the agreement available to the public to review?
I reached out to our attorney today over it, and we're planning for a press release here in the next week or so.
Okay. And was there a financial impact to the town, the agreement?
We would say it was an amicable agreement, and there was no negative financial impacts to the town.
Okay. And what was the total litigation cost for that?
I could get you that number.
Okay. So they were arguing the value of their property. So the minutes are pretty vague. They don't say anything with respect to the settlement. So when you say amicable, that comes across as pretty vague to me as well. And I think as a taxpayer, we have, because it impacts our grand list, that we're entitled to a little more information if this is going to impact us or if it's going to stay status quo. I mean, so what does that mean? I feel like it seems like it's still really secretive, and I'm not quite sure why if an agreement's been signed.
Just like I said, at this point, it is a public document. We're just working with our attorney to make sure that information is put out in a very efficient and effective way.
So if someone came downstairs and wanted to see the document, is the document downstairs?
No, but I've got, 7 days to give it. I mean, I don't have to, just because something is requested, I don't have to hand it over at that second, so we.
I understand that.
So then that's the process.
Okay. All right, so I'll be making a formal request for a copy?
No, you don't have to. I mean, it'll be
Okay.
soon. It'll be out soon.
Okay. It just seems like this could have a pretty negative impact on the town.
It did not.
Well, that's what I'm asking, and it doesn't seem like those answers.
The information will be forthcoming.
Well, the minutes are from the 4th, so
The information will be forthcoming.
I'll wait to see that.
Other open public comment? John?
First of all, I don't like this in front of these people. I mean, I'm a veteran, and they sacrifice, and I don't think that should be there.
Okay.
All right, and since they're not used serving the service, and that's why I'm disappointed.
Well, actually, Michael, I
Okay, but another thing I want to talk about is the health officer with these burnt houses. I'm concerned. We got 2 of them. Is she doing anything, or is anybody doing anything? Because she hasn't followed through with this. And they've been there too long in Proctor. And I'm very concerned, because I used to be the health officer, and I used to be chasing all this stuff all the time.
we've actually addressed it in the last couple of meetings, but like,
Well, maybe you address it, but nothing's being done. It should be taken care of.
So, John, if you let me finish. We've addressed it in the last couple of meetings, and I think, Michael, you've been in contact with both landowners?
I have, and the health officer.
Well, here we are, staying still again. And number two is, these guys that plow the snow in this winter, I did put grade stakes on my property, all right? One snowstorm, they came by and went 5 feet right on my property. And I left a message with our town manager to come up here and fix it. He never got back to me. All right? My attorney called. He never got back to him. The next snowstorm, well, not the next snowstorm, the next week, I went and put the grade stakes back. Right? Next snowstorm, guess what happened? The same thing. These guys should not be running around with a wing on a truck when you only got 3 or 4 inches of snow. The only time you use a wing when the snow banks are so high that you can't push the snow over the banks. So I'm going to be sending you a bill for the property damage on my property. It's unacceptable. And there's a lot of property damage this year in this town. Way a lot. All right? And another thing, the potholes in this town, you people ought to be ashamed of yourself. I brought this up last summer to the town manager. It should be done right and fixed right with hot mix. Nothing was done. Nothing. Grove Street's pothole, the Perkins residence, it's been there for 5 years and nothing's done. This pothole's all over this town. They're every place. Well, yet you raise the budget, you raise my taxes, but nothing's getting done. And that's what I'm concerned about. West Rutland is moving ahead. Pittsburgh's moving ahead. Clarendon's moving ahead. You know what Proctor's doing? Going backwards. And I'll say it, they're going backwards. And I'll tell you something, these towns, other towns have gotten grants. Proctor has gotten nothing. I haven't seen nothing.
John,
So
let's
I'm
move along
concerned,
here, okay? We got
I'm
a long
concerned
night.
about
We
my
got other
property.
people.
I'm
Okay.
concerned about
Yeah, you
other
made your
people
point, John, thank you.
to get grants, and that's what grants are for.
Okay, thank you, John.
And I don't like to be interrupted.
I don't like you going on and on and on all night.
I have the right,
Okay,
as a
okay.
citizen, I do pay my taxes,
Yeah.
and I pay a lot.
Okay.
So I'm just saying, as a citizen and a property owner, a number of houses, I do pay my taxes, and I'm concerned.
Okay, thank you, John. Any other open public comment? Okay. Moving on, has everybody signed their orders?
Yes.
Rutland's County Solid Waste District Outreach Project Presentation.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Mark Shea, I'm the district manager of Rutland County Solid Waste District. Before us is Brianna Franzoni, who's the program manager. You might have seen her out at Hazardous Waste this past Saturday. I heard that there was a show like no other show. People coming out doing good things. We like that. We like to see you guys disposing of your hazardous waste the proper way. Kind of to dovetail on John's presentation about grants, I hope you received an email about what Rutland County Solid Waste is offering a grant to its member towns. We have $25,000 in which we're looking to encourage recycling, encourage them doing good things. It's kind of open to many different paths. I encourage you to take a look at it. It's a rolling type of grant, so as soon as we can get the paperwork in, it'll be something that we can consider. 3 questions. Take a look at it. We're looking to get we have $25,000 this year to give out to the local towns and schools and so forth. Before I talk about the next thing, have you guys taken the pre-survey online?
Yes.
Yeah.
Each one of you?
Yeah, I took it too.
Thank you. So that speeds things up. would it take you to do?
I'd say 5 minutes, huh? Maybe 10 minutes.
That's about the average around here. Here's a little handout, and I'm gonna talk about that in a couple of seconds. You're welcome. Would each of you like to
Sure.
see? If you haven't taken the survey, get your phones out. There's a little shot there where you can take it really quickly.
Can we do it later, or do we have to do it?
You can do it later,
Okay.
just you know.
Because I turned my phone off.
Yeah. Yeah, that's if you have a smartphone. Would anyone like to follow along?
Sure, you want.
Would you like to follow along?
Sure.
Huh?
I want one of these composters.
Why does everyone say that?
Because it says it's $25.
How much is it retail?
200?
Yeah,
Thank you.
that's a big thing.
I have one, I really do.
Oh, you do?
No, I mean, I have one of those.
Oh, very good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
John, would you like one? Oh, how'd you get this?
Those are all you got.
Fast. Anyway, the district received a grant, a USDA grant, to help out with education, outreach, and try to be a part of positive change when it comes to trash and recycling and composting. And I'm gonna, when we turn to the first page here, we got the pre-survey. This is gonna encompass more like a research paper, where we find out where people stand on different levels of what they do. Some people are really extreme recyclers and they know all the things, what to do and what not to do. And some people have less experience in it. We want to try to find out how, take a look at the pre-survey and with a little education and outreach, how has that changed behaviors? How has that informed people on better techniques when it comes to trash and recycling and composting? As I indicated, this is part of a USDA grant, and the district is the only entity in Vermont that has received this grant. So with our program and our grant application, I am very happy to say that we are the only ones in Vermont that got this grant. So with that entity saying we have confidence in what we're trying to do here, and the employees that work for the district and being available for the pre-survey, this breakout meeting with the towns, and then later on doing the outreach, the education, and doing webinars, telephone calls, and so forth like that. There are 12 towns that are within this grant opportunity. There are towns that have lower populations. And if you turn to the next page with qualifying towns, you'll see the list of the 12 towns and their populations. It indicates that it has a transfer station, which is a little bit different. If you have a transfer station or don't have a transfer station, or if you are a town that has door-to-door service, which makes you a little bit different. So for me to come and say, hey, we're going to do ABC like we do to all other towns, to you is not going to work. I'm going to be asking you some questions and see what you think is something that you have as a need to help you maybe save some money, perhaps make it a little bit more organized, what can we do to help you? Because at the end of the day, the next step after this is, I'm hoping to reach out to Michael with the lister's office and get each home's address and name, and we're gonna mail out mailers. And one of the mailers that they're gonna get is this, along with maybe another couple of pages. Or if there's something that you need to bring to your residences, I'd like to include, you want one.
So there.
We're gonna get this for you. This is part of the grant, where we got so many thousands of dollars to get a whole not a whole warehouse full of them. But to get one of these things at this price, I'm gonna talk about this. How do you do it? If you turn to the next page, you'll see something like this little sheet here. This sheet here, if you have it in the PDF, you can click on this and also get to the pre-survey. It talks about what this program is in a nutshell. And it's also duplicated on this sheet. Some people get this one, some people may read this one. Maybe you look at this one because the composter is a little bit bigger here than here. We're trying different ways to capture your eye and get your attention on some positive things that can happen here. Keep on turning through pages. Some of the goals. In order to do any kind of research paper, or to find out some type of, how is this working? What is the sample? As you can guess, if you have a larger sample, the research would be more accurate, and more relevant, or maybe more specific to your town than a town that only got 22 people. With this information, it's going to give key policymakers better information on making future budget questions answered, different sets of goals for the town. It's going to hopefully increase household composting, because right now the state says 47% of your trash includes food waste. That's a lot of food waste, and it weighs a lot of weight. If you take that out, your trash, the cost of trash is expensive. It will cost the town less money. So imagine that line that you remember how much you're paying for trash removal. Take 47% of that. Gives you some power to renegotiate pretty quickly. Composting. If you recycle it, right now the recyclable costs, the number ones, the Coca-Cola bottles, the number two, like the Tide box, those are bringing money in compared to paper and other things. And they have, I was able to get this little brochure, excuse me, until I get back at that. What zero sort is. And has everyone seen this? It's a really nice educational piece. It talks about what zero sort is. If everyone follows this, you know, you have a price for trash and you have a price for zero sort. I think the only way you can get a better price is if you have a bin for number ones, where you get the big money, the number twos are big money, and you can isolate those that have not much value, market value. But you start putting trash in the recyclables, you're going to get things called contamination rates. And that is going to draw up that can much higher if it is contaminated. So one of the goals is through household composting, recycling, participation, awareness. What can you do here? What is a wiser way to reduce your financial obligation? What is your attitude towards this? Some people really want to compost. Some people, oh, I just want to throw it in there, and it's going to take care of itself. Two extreme levels. We want to encourage those that want to participate with the right information for the most bang for your buck. There's things that Casella won't take. What are some of the things that they won't take?
Electronics.
What do you do with your electronics? Oh, don't tell me, I don't know. What do you do with your batteries?
Oh, no, that went to the right place.
You saw Brianna.
Yeah,
What do you do? There's a whole bunch of things. Check this out.
I have one.
Because it's, if you take a look at, we'll go on to the next page. So with attitudes and technical abilities, I see some places where people aren't so sure, and I don't want to put anyone under the bus or say, yeah, you're a bad person. So you get some attitudes, you get some technical awareness. You know where the batteries go. If everyone felt as strong as you did, we do really good on the final paper that we sent to the town. In diversion rate, how much trash do you really divert? How much recycling do you do? We don't have your numbers in here because Casella did it and we should have got this and put this in the grid. So we're gonna, for right now, the goals are, in cooperation with the board, is to identify towns that need, how it relates to trash, create partners and teams to build upon needs, build capacity and reduce MSW, which is trash, increase your diversion rate. That means it's pure trash. You don't have the food waste in there, you don't have batteries in there, you don't have hazardous waste, all the bad things, just trash. Increase recycling rates, talk about best management practices. This goes to, I'd say this to towns that don't have curbside. If you have someone coming to you and picking up your trash, and I would tell you that if you were to bring it to the transfer station and not have that curbside, you could go to Florida, all expense vacation on Florida, on the amount of money you would save. Think about it. And to increase awareness and change behavior, perhaps. We're not going to get to everyone this first year, but to provide final analysis to your select board. And when I talk about some of the things, I think this is a good time. What are some of the things that you can think on how we can help you do this? I know you guys know your town, so I'm thinking, what are the people missing? Is there a service that we could help you with? We've got HHW coming, we have the 2 rover events, we have access to the transfer station for, the annual permit. You can do recycling there. You can do household hazardous waste there. You can do your white goods like refrigerators, freon items, tires, clothing. We have asbestos, we have C&D, construction debris, trash. We have leaves and brush. Some of the things that maybe if you're going through town, it'd be convenient for you to dispose of at the transfer station. It is available to you.
Are you allowed to ask a question?
I'm looking to what would help the town. And if the board can help me out or anyone out there, I'm listening. Go ahead.
So you're not from Casella,
No.
you're just from the Solid
Solid
Waste
Waste
place, so
Yes.
you want us to not put things out? We would have to take our stuff to
No.
you? Oh.
I'm not here to interfere in your operations. I'm here to perhaps complement it.
Mark, I think just, I know there isn't an easy solution to this, but outreach seems to be the most important piece of this puzzle. People, we've got quite a few transplants in Proctor from out of state and don't really understand anything about the laws here when it comes to waste. I was like that a year and a half, 2 years ago. And then everybody wants to know, well, how do we get to them? And, you know, people get stuff in the mail and then they just, maybe don't recycle it, they throw it in the trash. But I'd say if you can find some way, you know, people are watching YouTube on phones, they're watching TikTok, you know, if you're that savvy, I think those are really the places you can reach most of the target audience.
That's awesome.
That's just my opinion.
Yeah, thank you so much. We do have a Facebook page, and it's constantly updated. We do have Instagram. We do the Front Porch Forum, and our website has a whole bunch of materials. So if you go to recycling, if you go to household hazardous waste, you find the tab, or even a little hourglass or magnifying glass to find. If you type in what you're looking for, it will come up in the search. So that's a resource. But also, I'll get into some of the outreach soon. But all the stuff that we do, ideally has to comply with the statute, 148. And I have that in your packet to talk about the history of this act and where we are today. Next thing that's going to be changing is fluorescent bulbs. We're not going to be allowed to have certain types in the state coming up in a few months, and we'll see through that. But as you get to the next page with the nice stuff that we have to offer, those that participate in the program. You even have a picture of all these items that are banned from the landfill. If you try to put batteries or food in your trash, and you knowingly do it, that means you're knowingly violating the law. There was a law saying you can't put certain things in your trash. On this form here is something that can help you reduce the cost and help the town, help yourself, and clean up the environment. The next page, we get into diversion rates. One of our goals is to help you clean your trash up, more or less. Recycle food waste. And here's some of the towns, we don't have your number here, but we will have this in the final report, what it was back last year, and to see what happens over the summertime. It's a wide level of diversion, and it takes a look at amounts. And I think when we take a look at what your rate was and what it can be, it can give you an idea of trends. You'll see certain things happening a couple of years ago with COVID, how things have changed. You'll see some up and down arrows with that. You'll see some work inversely. And you wonder what policy changes are happening with the towns that work in opposition to different trends. And I think if we could pull those things out, it would help decision makers make better decisions. Some towns have stayed consistent year to year. Take a look at the end, that's almost a straight line. Castleton too. Take a look at the populations in each of these towns, maybe that can help you understand what's happening too. But I will leave that for you to take a look and just to know that it is going to be part of some type of understanding of what we find in the pre and post surveys and conversations with people throughout the summertime as we send out opportunities to get involved with the outreach and education. After I get the addresses, what I want to do is send out some information to the people to sign up for the free survey. You have this link here, you can do this with your phone for those people at home. When you get this in the mail next week or the week soon thereafter, look at this, look at the things that someone knows. I want this. It's right here. But do put your phone up, your smartphone up to this, and take the quick 5-minute survey. Well, on that survey, it's gonna ask you for your name or email. We prefer email. We're not gonna use this to identify any one person. It's for us to communicate with, Ben. So you, Ben Curtis, and you put your email down there. We'll reach out to you and tell you when we're gonna have some times, coordinated some times. Next Monday at 10 o'clock, and 6:30, we're gonna have a Zoom meeting, not a Zoom meeting, it's called Go-To meeting, same thing. And we'll send you a link if you call up or email us, or take the survey. We'll send you these links so you can take, chime in with Brian. Brian Salis is our outreach coordinator. And he'll log on, and you can call up, or you can Zoom in so you can see Brian, and he'll go through the trash segment, the recycling segment, the special recycling, the batteries and the bulbs. And there's another one too. It's only gonna take about 15 minutes, 20 minutes, depending on how many people show up. And for Tuesdays, what was it, Tuesdays and Thursdays? In the morning time and around supper time. So there's 2 times a week, 4 times a week. And hopefully we're gonna get that started. If there's another method or another means that you'd like to have, maybe I can't make any times, but how about this time? Can we do a conference call? Brian would love to entertain that. We have many thousands of people, 12 towns, that we want to hear between now and August. Because after we get everyone done with those 4 parts of the outreach, we're going to invite them to take the post-survey. So, what have you learned? What have we changed? With those, I think that he'll even email you some of the fact sheets that we're going to be going over with. So you can have this to take a look at and say, hey, what are we going to do with the lithium batteries? Those batteries that if you, I don't want to say that these batteries, if you damage them in any way, the fire doesn't go out. It doesn't go in. You hear maybe 10 years ago about these batteries taking down airplanes. They're very dangerous. There's certain things you can learn to make them not do that. It's really easy. It's putting some tape over the electrodes, packet tape. Very simple. And then it's free to dispose of. So, you know, there's a lot of bad things, especially when it comes to hazardous waste. They can do some real damage, and you just don't think of it. You know, the idea of mixing bleach with ammonia or different things, we push that out through Facebook and social media. Be careful. Hazardous waste is not trash. It's in itself trash, and solid waste is probably the most regulated industry in Vermont. When I was a manager in a local town, I had my transfer station attendants take care of all that stuff. And they went to all the trains and took care of it. And, well, being on the other side of the coin, the amount of information has a lot of depth, something that I could not imagine. And for someone to say, oh, it's just trash, believe me, it's a lot more than trash. So, what we asked for to take some burden off board members is to establish a PAT advisory board such that we can reach out to people that if we have a hard time getting participations to come and take the pre-survey, that we could have people say, hey, this person has not answered this email. Does anyone live in there? Does Brian need to come over and knock on this door and say, hey, are you interested? We don't want to harass anyone. We don't want to, if you don't want to do this, we can't make you do it. This is all voluntary. It's something that if you choose, we can maybe make a little difference. But we don't want As I said, we've been having morning meetings, whatever we can, video conferencing is part of the outreach. Some of the timeline is we want to kick off the week as we're doing tonight. We're gonna hopefully get some addresses, mail those out to people, get them involved, taking a survey, doing the outreach, and then doing the final or post survey. Once you do the post survey, what we're gonna do is call you up, email you, and coordinate that you come in and get your recyclables. Is advertising this. We also have things for food waste, and we have the little baggies you can use. I'm not sure if Casella's doing that. I think that, are they doing composting?
Yes.
We don't have supper.
Huh?
No.
No.
So when you, next subject? And, hopefully once we take the post survey, and Brian, Brianna and I can talk about how we're gonna do the final analysis report to the board. We'd like to come out and share with you, but also what the other towns are doing too. And I think if we share what other towns have done to other towns, it's like we're hoping for some synergy where, hey, that worked good for them and this worked good for here. I know some towns that are interested in perhaps doing pickup service. Do they have any idea what it is? These are things that are going to help out other towns to make it the best in the county. So, I talked about the goals. I think I talked about it, right? Any questions on what this entails? Any ideas on how we can, I guess, communicate better to the people when we do the mail-on? We're open to ideas such that it works. And we're happy to be well, we're not happy that we're the only ones, but I feel that we're very lucky, and this doesn't come around too often. If it's a success, what I'd like to do is take what we learned here and kind of maybe do something in a year or two, or whatever time we can do, and try to re-engage people to see how things have changed and try to improve. If the board has an idea, hey, Mark, I know you did this research paper this year, and things might have changed. Maybe you have different ideas in a year or two or three. Can we ask that you come and opine on this, or maybe we could do some research and find out if this is viable? What do people really want? What are they afraid of? Everyone wants something that's convenient, but there's cost and there's benefits. And we try to weigh that to make the best service for the whole town.
Lisa, did you have a question?
I have a clarifying question. Are you determining the benchmark based on people that are answering your pre-survey? What's the benchmark you're determining? You said you're going to determine if we had changes over time in our total tonnage.
Pre and post surveys.
So you're determining the benchmark is being set only by people that are participating in the pre-survey.
Can you think of another?
Well, I'm just asking how it's going to be like useful data, because if only 45 people in 1,700 participate, I'm not sure that data has real value.
I did indicate that in the beginning, and that's our first goal, is to have a great participation. We're sending these envelopes out to every home in the town.
Right.
So how many homes do you have?
We have like 800 residences.
So hopefully we're gonna get 800, because we're preparing for 100%. And I'm not gonna go and beat anyone up, or force them to do something that
Wouldn't it
they
be
don't
more
want.
advantageous to have a community forum and invite people to bring their phones, do your presentation, and encourage people to participate at the forum? So you have the community forum at the school, You encourage people to bring their phones, their laptop, whatever electronic they have. You do the presentation so everyone can see it on the whiteboard. And then you say, okay, we're gonna scan this, and we're giving you 15 minutes if anybody's struggling. In the room, I'm going to know then how many people have scanned and how many people have participated. Doesn't that seems to me like a more viable way than, not to be disrespectful, but you're a recycling facility and this is like a lot of colored paper here.
How many think you would, yeah?
You know, where this could, like if you did it at a school, it could just be up on the board. Everybody doesn't need to have
Like
this.
a town meeting?
So like, yeah, a community forum is how
Yeah.
is how I would characterize
How many do you
it.
get at a town meeting?
I mean, if you wanted to do a community forum, we could hold something at a school
Right.
and you could come and do a presentation. You would provide food. You'd bring like 4 or 5
I like
composters that you're gonna give away because everyone that comes is gonna get a ticket. So your presentation's gonna be an hour and a half. And every half hour or whatever, you're gonna draw 5 numbers. 5 people are gonna walk away with composters, 5 people are gonna walk away with green bins, and you're hopefully gonna walk away with 80 people that have answered your survey, so you have a little more viable data. I don't know, you asked for ideas, that's my
No,
idea.
yes, good. I was hoping that we'd have more here. I was thinking we're gonna have more here tonight.
I think that you're,
I know, it's a challenge, it is a challenge to get people in here, the idea that they're gonna get it.
if you tell them there's pizza, I bet they'll come.
Almost,
This is a pretty good turnout, Mark.
There are more people here.
Yeah,
And I know everyone's busy and everyone's, but we would do that if we had enough people that wanted to sign up and do that. We are doing meetings in the mornings, we're doing meetings in the evenings, 2 times a week, until we can get everyone done. If someone wants to have we'll do whatever it takes to get the town interested in doing this.
Well, and I think at the end here, we have your email, right, and your contact.
You have my email?
So if anybody,
Brian is the one who's gonna do the outreach, but if you email me, I'll forward it to Brian and he'll get it in touch with you. But the main trigger on this is take the pre-survey. And then those are the things that Brian is gonna go off of immediately.
Can I ask you a question? I should ask you again, well, who's pushing this, Casella or you?
USDA in the district.
Because Casella's in the way of food waste.
They do food waste. They pick it
They
up.
pick it up,
Yeah.
but they pushed it too fast, too soon, because nobody was ready for it.
I see the statutes, and sometimes the statutes happen without me participating in it too.
Right.
And what we need to do as an organization is uphold those statutes and try to make it easier for people to follow. And that's partnering with you, education, different techniques, what is best practices. Instead of saying, we're gonna cut your bag open, you have trash in there, you're gonna go to prison. It's illegal to do that, but I'm not gonna cut anyone's bag open. No one's gonna cut your bag open. I'm not the boogeyman. We're people that are gonna help you.
So do you get a grant for this?
We did. From USDA. Yeah,
Same thing as
yeah.
So you're just mailing it out? And you think
To try to
everybody's
engage
gonna-
people to participate.
Yeah, I don't know, we may throw
I can't drag you to the meeting.
yeah, but a meeting would be great.
Yeah. We'll be having those, at least 4 times a week. If you need something different, let me know and we'll coordinate.
thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Hey, Mark, can I put some stuff downstairs on the table coming in and out of the office to encourage people to...
These are great, these are
Yeah.
a little bit too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda, we have Animal Control Ordinance Amendments. This is a first review. Looking at the definition of the potentially vicious dog enforcement.
Yeah, and select board member Kurt, you've got the highlighted portion in front of you. This is suggested language that clarifies what the potentially vicious dog is and what the fines are. I don't have a copy in front of me. But feel free to.
Well, I think the point is for us to take a look at this and at our next regular meeting,
I would like to.
yeah, we'll have some.
Yeah.
Okay. Next up, we have personnel policy amendments. Again, this is a first review. So it's not the first time we've seen it, but it's really the first time we've reviewed it.
Yeah, bigger document for our legal team to review. They had minimal comments, and I'd say the most major one was just updating the policy to state that if someone were to not leave a 2-week, or to not resign with a 2-week notice, then they would not receive vacation leave as payment. So that was the only big action.
So again, this is for us to take a look at, and at our next regular meeting, we'll be moving through that, unless anybody has anything they want to know. It's like being at school. And next up, we have the Public Nuisance Ordinance Amendment, again, another first review. Districts with conditions for keeping certain animals as proposed at the special town meeting.
The only update to this action, which is not an action, it's just a discussion for the board, but after receiving feedback at the special select board meeting, I reached out to the Rutland Regional Planning Commission, who's one of our partners, and they created a map which mirrors the no discharge firearms zone. And what they've done is just take that, put it onto this, the same topography, and just have called it the Public Nuisance Ordinance figure, or district with certain conditions of keeping animals.
I think maybe even places like Florence Road, we could try to take out of there.
Yes, cut it off
For animals.
Yeah.
We could, down by the hams there, maybe we could.
That's a good start.
Yes, it
Yes.
is. This is great, great idea. Shows just what, some of the people are asking for.
So again, there will be time for people to comment on this. This is no action right now, it's just for the board's information, for everyone's information. So our next meeting will be able to begin to move forward with this. Computer backup system upgrade purchase.
Upon my arrival here at the town, I've been hounded by Vermont Digital to replace the system downstairs, which is outdated and keeps track of all of our data and documents. It is reached the end of its lifespan and then some. And then the Lister's computer has been limping along. We did make repairs to it, but there is a fear that it might crash, and which right now isn't the best time since the grand list is due soon. But we think we can limp along till then. And enclosed in your packets is a quote from Vermont Digital, which could, if spent, could be allocated out of the town equipment fund. So what I'm looking for tonight would be a motion from the board to approve this quote.
So is there a motion to purchase a new backup server and PC for the Lister's office?
Yes, so,
Second.
There's a second. All those in favor say aye. Motion passes. Grand list submission extension letter. We're just basically looking for a motion to accept the Lister's request to extend submittal of the grand list.
That's correct.
Is there a motion to accept the Lister's request to extend the submittal of the grand list?
So moved.
Is there a second?
second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. The blast from the past, tourism roadside sign agreement dated 1980.
This one's, I think, more interesting at this point than anything else. I was, in an effort to kind of clean up the right-of-ways and repair some of the signs around town, I reached out to V-Trans to see how they managed these tourism signs. And very quickly, they pulled out an agreement from the 1980s, pretty much stating that the town has authority over these tourism signs, which most towns have to go through the permitting process of V-Trans. I just wanted to share this information with you all. The town does have the option to pull out of the agreement at any time, is what it appears, but it does give me a little bit more understanding of how the process works and how to work with business owners, and along with promoting our own assets here in Proctor along the road. Well, not the assets along the road, but put signs along the road.
Promoted.
Yeah.
This basically allows us to approve signage if we choose to.
So I'm confused, they're using tourism and business, those words are synonymous in this agreement?
Yeah.
Tourism and business?
So it's official business direction signs that located.
Because it looks like the agreement is with two entities.
Yeah, so the purpose and policies, in the second paragraph, it says, to assist in directing the traveling public to local businesses and in an orderly and aesthetically pleasing manner, using the minimum number of signs to achieve this goal and avoiding interruption of general flow of traffic.
And I did reach out to the state just to get some clarity on it, because I know it pretty clearly calls out those two signs and those locations, but they verified my thought that any newer signs would also fall under this agreement.
So just as a point of clarification, we've had a conversation about signs in general here in Proctor and how we like to put up a sign for anything and everything. Is that, I guess I'm trying to figure out where this conversation is going before a sign goes up.
I think we're talking about just those tourism signs that they have, we're not talking about stop signs or.
No, but you said, I'm gonna go back to business, because you said tourism and business. So are we thinking tourism signs, or are we thinking tourism, business signs? So, are we gonna come and there's gonna be a sign that says, Zion, Marble Museum, whatever this is next door, Proctor Gas, Proctor Coal, all those signs are gonna be along the road? I'm just asking a question before we drive down South Street and there's a litany of signs.
They'd have to get approval from the board.
I know I'm not thinking we're gonna put up a sign for every business in town. I just think it's interesting that we have this agreement, and if we did wanna put up, and I think back to the Omnia signs that were telling them where to go, and they had to take those down.
So does that mean those signs can go back up?
I don't know.
Well, I talked about that with,
Did you?
with you.
Yeah.
Before the meeting, because that also kind of triggered some curiosity. Why did Omnia have to go? If I remember what they told me correctly, they had to go through quite the process to get those signs up. So I don't know what this agreement played in that part.
Wasn't it coming through Proctor? I think they were trying to discourage,
It was some of the trucks to stay.
yeah, out of town.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how that process worked then.
Well,
I just don't have the institutional knowledge. to speak
it
for
hasn't been that long ago that we had them. It was,
Before me.
Before I was on the board, so.
no, we've had them since then because they put them up when we had all the issues and we had it said Omnia and it had an arrow. And we received a letter from AOT from, I think, Ryan Sanderson that said they had to come down. That hasn't been prior to you being on the board then.
I thought it was, because the only one that I remember is when the engine brake signs happened. We were told we had to take those down.
That was before you were on the board.
No, that was when I was on the board.
These have been since then. They put them by the entrance and they put them other places.
Yeah, there was one on Beaver Pond Road, I remember. Say not to take the Florence Road, basically.
So I'm just curious because We have a lot of signs along South Street.
So that's, again, that is more for information only at this point.
Yeah.
Anybody has any plans to?
Yeah, none of us have really
Yeah, no.
remembered.
Well, and no one's been requesting new signs, I just was curious why the ones that were up weren't being maintained, and this would explain
Yeah,
it.
that's one.
So,
Okay, other business? So is there, if there's no other business, do I have a motion to go into the Board of Water Commissioners?
so moved.
Second,
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, Owen and Handle.
Sure, if it's okay with you, like Board Member Curtis, I'll just kind of condense it all.
Board manager's report?
Well, I won't do the full-on town manager's report, but I've got a small little water commissioner's report I can do here. So, the O&M manuals have been submitted to Du Bois and King, who are gonna review it in just a Word file and then send it along to the state. Most of there were about 50 comments, and me and Rob and Nick were able to answer most of those in-house. Some of them were kind of higher level engineering that we requested assistance from Du Bois and King on, and so we're in front of the deadline for submitting that in accordance with our operating permit. And then my credit supervisor report. There are now approximately 20 agreements on file. When I showed up, there were a lot of agreements in a lot of different places that look very different from each other. And I can say with a lot of confidence now they're very organized and they all look very similar in nature. Not so much in the agreement over time, but the document itself. The town began disconnects on May 1st after they were duly warned, and recovered approximately $8,500 in debt from the disconnected schedule of the $22,200 that were on the list. The report submitted for review that you have in your packets, which is a form of my credit supervisor report, assumes past due amounts, April 15th payments, which are not legally past due until May 15th. If I gave you the actual past due, the list would be very small without agreements. So to date, if they, accounts that don't have agreements, I'd say there's $40,000 in arrearage. Some of those are scheduled for tax sale. Some of them we're requesting go up for tax sale, or they have past due balances and don't have curb stops, and maybe tax sale is the more efficient way of making sure that the debt is paid. And I'll have an agreement report next meeting for actual agreements, because I was going to do it this meeting, but the treasurer didn't have her drawer closed in time for me to issue packets. So that'll be at our next select board meeting. And that includes my credit or my board of water commissioners report.
Any questions? Do we have a motion to move to the Board of Sewer Commissioners?
so
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Treatment plant scoping study update.
All right, so the financial select board member Hogan and Bruce, you guys were at Boucher, you guys were at the meeting that we had, the 60% update meeting we had for the scoping study. One of the homework assignments I had was to submit a financial report, and that was all done. So that would get included into the scoping study and submitted to the state for final review. And then we move on to the next phase, which is design. Crews have been out flushing lines throughout town as a preventative measure to abate backups. They've also been, while they're doing it, putting in a solution to reduce root growth. And Rob and Nick, with the help of the Rural Water Association, submitted our phosphorus optimization plan to the state for review. And one last thing that's not included in my manager's in this report is that Kyle has been reaching out to me, and the crews have noticed an influx of materials inside of the gravity-fed system that should not be there. So we're talking towels and what have you. So speaking of outreach, it might be good to do some brainstorming on how to get that information out to residents on what should be going into the toilet and what shouldn't be going in the toilet.
All right. That's it for sewer commissioners. Do I have a motion to adjourn the Board of Sewer Commissioners and reconvene the regular select board meeting? So moved. Mr. Secretary, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, town manager report.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to go through what I think are the highlights of the report. The tool cap's picked up and the check was received, so the deal is all done. Planning Commission, this is updated a little bit. Tommy Grace called me about the property on East Street, and without going into too great of detail, he's gotten, he doesn't have any desire to move forward with taking on the job. So I've reached out, well actually Judy Frazier, the health officer, has reached out to me. We're getting solid contacts for Bradley Mullen, and this goes to the Macy's property as well. Both of them have to be handled. And we're just going to formulate a plan on making sure that these properties are brought to a condition which is better than they are now. And then, okay, so that kind of goes over the house fires. The Beaver Pond Path is still under review by the Secretary of State. Wow, transfer station day. On May 5th, when I wrote this down, we had over 125 tickets, but really it was closer to 150. We were open from 9 to 1. The line was pretty steady throughout that whole time. I can give you a report how it went. I would call it controlled chaos. But the resources down there are pretty limited. I mean, you've got a hill that you go up and you throw trash over. So really the job of me, Paul, and Rob were assisting in getting that trash from out of the trucks or out of the trailers into the dumpster. And it's full throttle from 9 to 1 to make sure that happens. I've spoken to individual board members about how I think the operation could be improved in the future. And if you guys have any comments on that now, I'd be welcome to take them. Okay. All right. Parks and Recreation, we have a new lifeguard and many others returning. A big thanks to the high school for coming up to the pool on Friday and helping us clean it up. We got a really big stick pile out of it, and the benches were stained. I'd say at least 90% of the benches were stained. And playground construction date is planned for mid-May. We were thinking it's this weekend. There was a little miscommunication on that. It might still be happening this weekend, but I'm going to find out before I head out for vacation on Wednesday when that'll be. I'm still confident it'll be in May. And then we got a new entrance sign for the pool that's been purchased, and it'll look like the Beaver Pond picnic area sign, and it will just go right there in the right of way, so people know exactly where the entrance is. Again, we're talking about new people to Proctor. You look around, it looks like a driveway, so hopefully it'll help encourage people to go up there. They've never been before. And then there's a sign there now that's in pretty bad shape. It says no motorized vehicles by order of the Selectboard, and that might come down because the new sign will have that on there. And so that's my Parks and Recreational update. GMP versus Proctor. Indeed, there was an agreement that was executed by the town last week, but it wasn't executed by all parties till today. Okay, so that information will be coming out because we do want to be transparent about this information. South Street Sidewalk Project update. The church has returned a signed copy of the easement agreement. I've spoken to Majoya and the parish house owners. Everybody knows it as the parish house. So they plan on coming in and signing an agreement. Again, we're dealing with someone who is misplaced by a house fire. They're harder to get a hold of, but we're going to make sure it happens. we're well beyond the timeframe of having that stuff submitted. Summer paving, we're currently planning for a Class 2 highway grant award this year. And that will take up most of West Street. If an award is not granted, most paving efforts will be focused on North Street, Pleasant Street, and Florence. We had a meeting with Tim Rice today because a good portion of Florence on this side of the hill was damaged this year. It looks like a lot of temporary work has been performed on that road for quite a number of years. So we talked to Tim about maybe doing some shoulder patch, just a shoulder patch along the west side of the road. And maybe there's a transition kind of closer to the top of the hill where it changes over from newer pavement to older pavement. It's in pretty bad shape. There's a little bit of money left in the highway maintenance bond, and the town didn't spend as much money on salt and sand as we thought this year. So what I've asked him is to give us a quote, and then at the next meeting I'll present that to you. And we'll also be a little bit closer near the end of the fiscal year to make a decision like that comfortably. The Tri-Town Trail Study, I don't have an update on that. I'm just waiting for an agreement from the state. An update on the Municipal Energy Resiliency Grant. My application got awarded the full $4,000. So we're going to do the beavers with the shirts, the energy resilient beavers, and then the hope is to do a Jeopardy table at Fall Festival. So you come, you answer a Jeopardy question on anything energy, or maybe even anything Proctor, and you get a beaver. Okay, so aside from this, we had a vicious dog hearing, crowd attendance, and then I sent the findings out today. Just an update that's not on my report. Consumer confidence reports are done, and they're being mailed out tomorrow. They made a mistake folding them, so they might look funny when they come creased, but everything was settled. The town didn't have to pay anything extra for it. Mowing has started, and if anybody has noticed, there's a lot of gray spots in town in people's lawns along, especially along South Street. So I reached out to the state just for a little bit of guidance, and it was verified that indeed it is grubs. Okay, so they've given me some treatment options. If anybody's interested in reading about those, you can come visit me. And then
It seems as though South Street is the only place where they are.
I know,
Isn't that a lot?
yeah.
It's up on Sharon Park.
Not on our side of town.
And it's not the grubs, it's what's digging after the grubs.
Yeah.
Is what's killing the
Yeah,
grass.
yeah, the grass and all that. So I know that's been a concern here lately. And two more things. I spoke to our forester, Andy, and he's got a busy week, and I'm leaving. So we do have a planned hike the property at the end of next week to look at the logging road. And if no one has any strong objections to it, I'll be going on vacation Wednesday and returning Wednesday. And that concludes my manager's report.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
The way he just talked, we don't put the pavement out for bid no more, huh? He's talking to Tim, that's Beavers for Will.
We
Just
said-
asking a question.
John was trying to answer it.
It seems like we're not putting things out for bid.
We are.
You should be talking to somebody after the bid has been put out, not before the bid.
Okay, thank you.
Because you're almost saying you're gonna give him a job, and that's not what he said. I'm just being honest with you, up straight. Because there's a lot of bidders in the bid, there's pipe, there's running Danby, Petcom, Granville, big companies, a lot of bidders, and you should, that's my dollars, of course, I can see you guys are doing things that you should be doing.
So, John,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any other business for the board? Motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second? Second. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you very much, everyone.